G'day guys and welcome back to another episode of the Boundary Riders Podcast. Got my co-host Jack with me as always over this off-season, but even though it is the off-season, we've actually had a lot of news and information drop about the AFL over the last few days.
Yeah.
And the first one we will be taking a look at is, because we're recording this on a Wednesday, we won't be looking at the full fixture, which will be released tomorrow, which will probably be today when you're watching this. Probably just when we watch it.
It'll be the Thursday.
But we do have the opening weekend, so to speak, or round zero as they're calling it.
Yeah.
So the first round of games is there's 4 games that's going to be happening in New South Wales and Queensland, trying to capitalise on the NRL. Sorry, that's some smashing dishes. That wasn't me. Trying to capitalise on the fact that the NRL is going to be in Las Vegas. Now, you've had some pretty bad thoughts about this so far. You don't really like the fact that they've split it. What's your thoughts on it? Let's just put it that way.
I just think it's stupid. Like there's a lot of Victorians already complaining about it already, but
Which we do like to see.
it is good to see. That's a good thing about it. But the whole concept, I think, is just stupid. What
don't you like about it? Is it the fact that it's because it's been played in the States? You've got like the split round.
I never really liked splitting it up for a round, really. Like even when they did the split rounds years ago, I didn't like it. But the second week of the official round one, those teams that play that week one don't have to bye. I don't really get that. It's like when are those 8 teams going to have to bye? And
yeah, so because they can't really have 2 in a certain amount of time because that's pretty unfair. But also, we haven't seen the full fixture, so we don't exactly know who every single one of these teams are playing in the actual round one. But it's going to be a bit unfair for these teams who have had that game if they're playing a team like a Port Adelaide or Adelaide Crows or a team like that.
Yeah,
it's going to be pretty unfair to them who have because a team who's had a week of game will have that extra match fitness going into the second game. Because we've seen in round 1s, even to round 2s or whatever, the teams aren't match fit.
Yeah.
By the time they get to, round 1, even if they've had that 1 or 2 trial games or whatever. So I will be interested to see how this goes, how they're going to set up the fixture. I'll be interested to see when it comes out tomorrow. I've kind of grown to be okay with this because of the games, personally. Sydney versus Melbourne, I think, is a really good game to start off. Brisbane versus Carlton, I think, is also very good. Gold Coast versus Richmond, that's probably the weakest one, but I know why they've done it.
Yeah, it's obvious why they've done it.
Yeah, for Damien Hardwick. And GWS Collingwood, I do like that one, but on the other hand, I do think that the other 3 games would be better if they were at the MCG. That's what I will say. I think they would be a lot better. But I do like the I do like the games. I just don't like the aspect of splitting up the rounds. That's my idea. I think that if they were going to do this fine. I think they should have just had round 1 as all these teams play these games at a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares about who cares about the tradition of Carlton versus Richmond anymore? Look, if I'm going to be honest, make it these games. Make the Thursday night Sydney versus Melbourne. Make the Friday night Brisbane versus Carlton at the Gabba at the same venues, but then have the other teams playing as well. I get they're trying to make this almost like a pseudo gather round, which we'll talk about in a second, in New South Wales and in Queensland, trying to capitalise on the NRL not being there. But I just don't like the aspect of splitting up the round the way they do, and I do hope when the full fixture comes out that these teams are playing against each other in round 1 or round 2 for the second game for them. Because I think that's a little bit more fair than if a Sydney were to play a North Melbourne or something.
Yeah, well,
despite
I don't think that would matter even.
Don't say that. We're going to jinx it now.
Oh, well, the last time they played each other, it was actually a close game. But
that was Sydney were a totally different team back then compared to the end of the season even. But yeah, obviously that is the news we've had so far about opening round. This is round 0, I think it's supposed to be called.
What their concept is.
Yeah, but I think in some better news, we do have the information about Gather Round. So Gather Round, obviously its second instalment, will be here again in South Australia, which is great for us.
Yeah.
Can't wait to be going to all of these. I still can't find any ticket information, so if anyone has actually seen it and is watching this right now and knows when the tickets are going to be sold, comment down below and I don't know, I'll give you a heart on a comment or something. We'll figure out something. But anyway, because we really want to know. Because Obviously, if you haven't seen it yet, on Thursday night to start off gather round at Adelaide Oval, it will be Adelaide versus Melbourne. That's a massive game.
Yeah.
I think both of these teams, Adelaide obviously going to be coming into this season red hot. I think Melbourne, I'll be interested to see how Melbourne start off the season. This is going to be round 4, I believe. So.
Yeah.
Or is it round 3? Well, I don't even know what round to call it anymore. But it's going to be an earlier round. It's April the 4th. It starts gather round. So basically a month into the season.
It'll be 4 or 5, but yeah.
Yeah. After that, we've got Friday afternoon, Friday evening is Brisbane versus North Melbourne again, which is surprising. But this is at Norwood Oval.
Yeah.
So we saw a couple of really good games at Norwood Oval in the gather round in 2023. So that will be really interesting as well. Friday night, I do like this. They have set up Port Adelaide and Adelaide to have their standalone games at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide will be playing Essendon. So this will be an interesting one. Essendon actually shocked Melbourne in the 2023 gather round.
Yeah.
That was obviously when Essendon were in form. So we'll see how Essendon start next season as well. Port Adelaide won their game in gather round, so that will be interesting how that one goes out. I think it's a good game. I think
it's a good game. I think with all these additions that Essendon have had, it could be interesting where Essendon are at the stage of gather round.
Well, it is interesting as well because Port Adelaide and Essendon had 2 very close games in 2023.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of not so much a rivalry, but there is definitely some close games in recent history. After that, we do have on Saturday afternoon is Sydney versus West Coast. So me and my brother will be making a trip down to to Mount Barker, I guess.
Yeah.
So I will be interested. I'm actually kind of excited to actually go to a different ground to watch the AFL footy. We'll probably have to get there pretty early to get good seats for it. But yeah, I'm actually super excited to get to the Swans versus Eagles. I do hope that we win. I would be very pretty embarrassed
do
if we
you
lost.
think it will be like the game that you guys played this year where you kicked it 200 points? Do you think it'll be...
Well, if we go to that, look, I'll be happy, but I'll be like, oh, fucking
Like
Christ.
you said...
When I was watching that game against Sydney versus West Coast earlier in the year, I was
Even
like, oh, God, stop. It was that meme of The Simpsons when Homer's beating up the Hamburglar or whatever. It's like, stop it, he's already dead. Yeah, that was basically that one. Saturday evening is Carlton versus Freo. So that one is local time 3:50s. That's a little bit annoying. So we'll probably miss the first half or so of that one. So basically what our plans are is basically go from Mount Barker straight to Adelaide Oval to watch the second game to go to the last game. But Carlton versus Fremantle, I think that could be a pretty good contest. We'll see how that one plays out.
Carlton never showed up last time we gather around, so
yeah, they didn't show up. But to be fair, they didn't show up for most of the first half of the season.
Yeah.
But anyway, Freo, I will be interested. I think they're really questionable going into season 2024, so I will be interested to see how they play. And they're actually a team which I don't actually think I've ever seen live. Freo, maybe very early. Maybe.
I haven't seen
Definitely
them
in years.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in years live.
Yeah, because I think looking at all these teams right now, other than Brisbane probably, North Melbourne, and...
No, we saw North Melbourne.
Oh, we've seen North Melbourne,
because remember when Ben Brown kicked 10?
Yeah,
I was there that night and he had not a good night for Port Adelaide.
Yeah, so basically, other than Brisbane and possibly the Giants as well, I don't think we'll see the Giants live.
No,
we've obviously seen Sydney. So other than them two, we will be seeing them this time. So
we're playing.
That will be cool.
Yeah.
So that'll be really interesting to. Oh, we won't be seeing Brisbane again. That's fine. Whatever. We'll see them next time. They probably should have gotten that Oval game. I think.
Yeah. To be honest, they're runners up this year.
To be fair, yeah. We'll talk about one game which I'm a little bit surprised isn't being played at Adelaide Oval. But Saturday night is Geelong versus the Bulldogs. This will be interesting.
Yeah, because I don't know who I'm going to go for because I hate both.
I tend to agree. I don't really like either of them either. Like, when we went to gather round last year, we always had a team we were supporting, even when we weren't, they weren't our teams.
Yeah.
We were always supporting one or the other, but...
It's a tough one.
If we're looking at right now, I'm obviously backing for Melbourne, because I don't really like the Crows, obviously, sorry. Port Adelaide, because of you, and I'm grown up Port Adelaide my whole life, really. Sydney, obviously, because they're my team.
Probably Freo.
Yeah, we'll probably be backing for free on the second half. That's if the game's already gone. We'll see soon. So, but even in gather round that we had last year, a lot of the games, other than one, which is West Coast versus Geelong, were pretty close. And that West Coast Geelong game, other than one,
it was one quarter.
It was like
the first
quarter and a half.
Yeah.
Where Geelong dominated. But other than that, Hawthorn were back and forth. But I mean, you kind of put that down to Geelong just were like, let's just tighten it up here, boys. We don't need to pull a hammy. And they just did all the injuries for the rest of the season anyway. But yeah, that'll be a good game Saturday night at Adelaide Oval. Sunday early at 12 midday, so that will be quite early, is Gold Coast versus GWS again at Mount Barker. And we've kind of decided, we're saying this as well, hoping we get fucking tickets. But we're going to be on as soon as we find out the ticket information, we will be on Ticket Tech the minute that it's ready to go.
Because obviously the Mount Barker games aren't going to be a lot of. Obviously, the ground's going to be small, so there's not going to be as many people that can get to the games. But we're going to get.
We obviously didn't go to any Mount Barker, in the country games last year because the Swans and Port obviously were both at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that one goes. I think it will be a good. I think this one could be a good contest. Both the new teams, if you can even call them that anymore. But yeah, that will be an interesting game. This one's the one that I'm a little bit surprised about. Richmond versus St Kilda at Norwood Oval. I'm a little bit surprised by this. Considering Richmond is such a huge club, obviously, they're popular everywhere. Even when they are at the bottom, they're always popular. I'm a little bit surprised by this. To be fair, I don't really know what other game they could have put at another
I think
round.
you could have possibly put Carlton and Freo.
Yeah, but again, Carlton did well last year. I think that's why they've chosen Richmond.
Yeah, but I think the Carlton... Freo don't normally travel.
Yeah.
If you look at the Freo, they don't normally travel to anywhere really outside of Perth. So I think that's...
Wait, what do you mean? They don't...
Well, they don't travel... You don't see very big fan base cheer squads when you watch Freo games.
I thought you meant they don't travel outside of Perth.
Well, I wouldn't.
I thought you meant Fremantle don't travel to play games outside of Perth. Sorry, I was like, that was the stupidest comment But no, I'm glad you clarified that because I think sometimes we say some stupid shit. We get some people in comment section saying, "What the hell did you just say?"
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I do get what you mean. They don't have a huge fan base. But to be fair, when they went to Norwood Oval against the Gold Coast, they had a pretty good fan base there. But again, it was a pretty small ground. I think if they had to pick one of them, honestly, I would probably put Geelong and Western Bulldogs, to be honest. I think that's the one that could have changed. But at the end of the day, I think it is actually, on the fan base aspect, I'm a little bit surprised by it. But where both teams I can see next year, I think it's probably a good decision. But yeah, I think that will be surprising. That will be an interesting game. And the game to finish off gather round will be Collingwood versus Hawthorn. Big game. I think that we obviously saw Hawthorn upset them late in the year, but we obviously saw Collingwood really dominate gather round against St Kilda despite only winning by a goal.
Yeah. Everyone's
we won't be leaving this time.
Yeah, but Collingwood. Obviously, this is the Jack Ginnivan reunion. But every Victorian is saying, why the hell is this being played in South Australia? If you play this at the MCG, you're getting 70,000, 80,000 for it.
Yeah, that is true. I get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could say that for any game, really. I mean, you could say, if Geelong versus Bulldogs was at the MCG, they'd get a good 50,000 or something. Yeah. Or if Richmond and St Kilda were MCG Friday night, they'd get a big crowd. Or well, maybe not. I don't know. But I mean, I do kind of get where they're coming from. But I do think it's funny that all the Collingwood fans are saying, he's a wanker or whatever, and they kicked him out, essentially. They kicked him out. He's a wanker, he fucking left us. It's like, bro, you kicked him out the door. Don't give him that. I'm not a big fan of him, but I think he's a decent player. But I'm not a huge fan of the guy, but I think get over it. Yeah. Some players, I'd be more pissed off if I was Fremantle with Lachie Schultz leaving than Jack Ginnivan if I'm Collingwood. But anyway, exactly like Collingwood. Get over yourself. You just picked up a better small forward anyway.
Yeah, but the good thing that they did do this time is that it is the last game on Sunday, the last game of Gather Round, but it's also the standalone game at Adelaide Oval on Sunday. So they will get a big crowd for it, I would assume, because they did get such a big crowd as well last year. Collingwood against St Kilda. Yeah,
it was a really good atmosphere at the last game of the Gather Round. I really hope... they do have, obviously, another 2 more years, I believe. It's this year, 2024 and 2025, or is it 2026 as well?
I think, it's 2026 as well, because he gave it a 3-year extension.
Yeah, it was a 3-year extension, wasn't it? Yeah, so I am really excited for this. I think it's really good for South Australia as a whole, because I think... we actually really brought the atmosphere that was to Gather Round last year, and they only had, a couple of months to bring it all together, and it was brilliant. We saw, not that we really did all the other aspects of it, like the festival and stuff, but it was obviously a lot of fun for things like for kids and that, and families to do all that, and I think that they can just up it again, and also now that they've got a huge amount of time to sort it out, now that they know what they've done well and what they didn't, it's just going to make it so much better that the build up towards it as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be great. And also, obviously, they do have one extra game outside of Adelaide Oval this year. So there's obviously, like we mentioned, 2 at Mount Barker and 2 at Norwood. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Obviously, there's no game at Adelaide Hills this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Mount Barker, never been to Mount Barker at all, even though I live in South Australia. But I'm really excited to head down there. Swans versus West Coast, really good to see. Gather around South Australia next year. If you guys ever do see us and you actually want to say hello, we'll be more than happy to say hello. But I don't think we're big enough to get that sort of following anyway. We'll see how we go. We've got 340 subs or something now, and like 2 followers on Spotify. So we're fucking huge.
Yeah,
At this point, one of the biggest podcasts on the planet. But we do appreciate your support, and obviously, guys. But one thing I think we've been kind of teasing it for the last couple of weeks is like kind of an announcement or whatever. We did want to mention that we have started up a Patreon. Now, before we get into like all the specifics of things like tiers and that, obviously we want to start off by saying you don't have to like become a Patreon member with us. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's basically like a paid membership. Where you pay like maybe a couple of dollars. Ours is only going to be $3, so $3 a month, and you get a bunch of like exclusive rewards or whatever, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But basically, what our goal is with Patreon is to we want to grow this thing like to something really big. Like you see the big podcasts like in AFL aspects, like the Mason, like a lot of the players obviously they have the money that they can like get producers and studios and that, and we would like to one day build that up, but obviously by ourselves it's kind of impossible, and we don't really want to change the fact of how we talk. So I think that I've had a person or two like follow me or whatever that like have like some, not a lot of full on like notoriety, but they do have like some like the commentating stuff that I do, for example. They follow me and whatever, and they do like VFL commentary and stuff, so that could be a sort of connection. But I don't want to like, because sometimes we say some things that are not outlandish, but like can swear and whatever, and we don't want to change that sort of stuff up just to suit guy on like Triple M or whatever, if we were to get lucky enough for that. But so obviously the way to grow the way that we're thinking of growing, at least for the meantime, is through you guys. So if you did want to follow our Patreon, the link will be in the description of every single video and on the podcast as well. What we're thinking of for perks at this stage, and if you guys are thinking of maybe joining but don't really like the perks or whatever, then you can let us know. That's more than fine with us. Now, obviously, a first one would be you get early access to things like this podcast, the Boundary Riders Podcast, all the videos. I've got a couple of videos already stored up, ready to go. So you've kind of seen maybe a few of them that you've seen, like the lowest scores in the season, the biggest scores of the season. I've got a couple of like AFL history videos coming out as well. So I've been making them, and my brother's mostly been focusing on the TikTok stuff. So yeah. I mean, you're not going to get basically all the TikToks and stuff you see anyway. So you'll see that early. That's basically what he's been doing. But something that we have started, and we've actually got a few episodes already done, is a new podcast that me and my brother have started, which is called the Twinners Podcast. Now, we've actually got one episode up right now. What I'll do is I will link it, and maybe I'll play a little bit of a snippet of it now. But yeah, it's basically like a comedy podcast, more about me and Jack. Not really much football, sport talk, but just more like news and stuff, which I think is quite funny, and yeah, it's just a laugh, really. So We've got 3 episodes up now if you want to join Patreon. We will be releasing them at least 2 or 3 weeks before normal people or the regulars or whatever. People who are not Patreon members, they'll be getting it 3 weeks in 3 weeks time. But obviously, if you want to join up to Patreon, if you join up right now, you have 3 episodes right now that you can listen to. If you want to, obviously, if you want to go check it out, we will link it below the first episode. See if it's something that you would enjoy. If you think it's really cool, then then you can join up the Patreon, see how you feel about it. If not, that's totally fine. Like we said, we just want to, grow, and we've kind of thought that would be the way to do so. If in the future, like, we're pretty close to monetizing this channel on YouTube, so if that is the case, then we can start up channel memberships, which is basically the same thing, and obviously you'd get the same perks. I was thinking as well, is what we could do is live stream this podcast to the Patreon members, or whatever. They can link it and they can watch it live, which could be something that'd be a little bit easier, because we obviously just do this and then talk to a camera. We could easily just live stream it on YouTube. It's literally just one button above me, so we could do that if that's something you want to do. We could live stream the other podcast as well. We'll obviously be doing things like member shout outs as well, information about future stuff coming to the channel. I think as well, I think this would be a really cool idea, is like next year when footy starts up again, we'll be doing a tipping comp and stuff. And AFL fantasy comp and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, those guys would be getting first access to that. I mean, God forbid, if we were doing any merch in the future, you guys get early access to that, maybe even discounts and stuff. That'd be a huge bunch of stuff that you know that we have to offer. And if you guys have any different suggestions, then, you know, leave it in the comments section below. Even just send me a message, I don't care. You guys know Instagram, just send us a quick message and I'll happily talk to you guys about it. If you guys have any ideas or tell me to fuck off, I don't really care. And yeah, that's basically the information that we've got right now for it. Like I said, what have I got here? Check out. Oh, so what? Also, if you have no intention of doing it or whatever, maybe even just have a look at the page. I've done a lot of work on it. So if you guys just want to have a quick look at it, just, you know, give it some. Just maybe even if you don't want to do it, just, you know, have a look and just think if you have any sort of like suggestions of where you could look or more improved. So yeah, just have a look down. Link in the description. Link in the show notes, I think, on Spotify. If you guys want to check that out. If you don't, totally fine. This podcast, the Boundary Riders Podcast, will obviously be coming out for free pretty much a couple of days later, if not a day later anyway. And like I said, the Twinners podcast that we have will be coming out a couple of weeks basically after for normal people, basically. So enough of me rambling about that. What I wanted to move on and talk about now was a little bit of AFL YouTube beef. Now, this is obviously a bit exciting. I've seen this. Have you ever heard of a guy on YouTube called... sorry, not YouTube. He's on Facebook a lot. I think I've sent you one thing of his. He's called Cooper or Scoops. He's AFL trade rumours and... I
think so,
results.
yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure.
I think you may remember this. He came out with an exclusive once, this was last year, that Jack Lukosius was going to be leaving.
Oh, yeah.
So this guy thinks, well, his dream, I think, has been to like become an AFL journalist or whatever, but has obviously doesn't really want to put in the work to become an actual journalist.
So he just makes up shit like some normal journalist though.
Yeah, so I mean he's fit for the role. The funny thing is as well, when he did a face reveal. Now we'll talk about this a bit later as well, like the situation. But he did a face reveal, and the person who announced it was Tom Morris of all people. So he's got some good friends there. Yeah. And apparently as well, he's been trying to call on this guy's been trying to call up Trade Radio and like make up like his exclusives or whatever. But Trade Radio blocked his number.
That's even better.
That's fucking hilarious. But anyway, this guy has been and a guy on YouTube called Egg Footy. Now he makes some like videos with like unique commentary AFL videos with like a unique editing style. You probably watch a couple of his videos; they're actually quite good. But basically, what Egg Footy did a couple of years ago was last year made a video about Scoops and how he's a bit of a fuckwit, basically. So Scoops is known in the AFL community for YouTube and content or whatever because he like makes up content like he's like trying to be a journalist, but you know, not impartial, which they need to be. Like he's a very huge Saints fan. Like he did like a pseudo crappy Boundary Riders medal. Like he did his own. He's done it for the last few years, but every single time someone wins it, it's the St Kilda player. Like Jack Sinclair won it, I think, for him. So he's very biased towards St Kilda. But Egg Footy made a video about him, basically coming out a pretty lighthearted video, quite funny, about how Scoops is like portrayed himself in the community. How what he will do is someone comes up against him, he'll just block them. He's kind of a child, basically. But also there's been some like allegations being thrown his way that kind of not pretty inappropriate to talk about, but like Egg Footy did defend him, said like, you know, there's not any huge evidence against it, so, you know, that's kind of, I'm not going to speculate on that. So really he was like pretty nice about it in the end and was pretty half and half on the whole situation, but Scoops did not like this at all, and apparently at this year's AFL finals, you know, at the grand final had the festival the day before.
Yeah.
They met up, and apparently this Scoops guy was going to dox Egg Footy. So you know what doxing is? Basically, he's going to like post his... Because this Egg Footy at the time didn't have his face revealed, so he's going to like post his picture, face reveal him, and basically dox him. Like, apparently, like, you know, if you show someone's face and they don't want to have their face shown, they could, you know, find out where they work, find out, you know, even where they live. You know, that's really fucked. So, at the time, obviously, now this is like hugely fucked. Like, he made a video about him. Like, it was a critique video. Like, you know, if someone made a critique video about me or whatever, I'd feel a bit like whatever. But the video was very lighthearted, and I've watched it, and it was quite funny. But also, it was the one thing I think that he didn't like was he got pretty big in the AFL community. Like, it got nearly 30,000 views, which is pretty big for an AFL content like beef, quote unquote. But yeah, basically, yeah, that all boiled down. This is what he fucking did. I think he, allegedly, I'll just put that in there so I don't get sued, because this guy, he could sue someone.
Yeah.
Fucking, he's much of a fuckwit. But anyway, this Scoops guy actually got a kid to take a photo of this Egg Footy guy. And this Scoops guy, his name is age 25. And instead of doing it himself, doing this dirty work himself, he paid a little kid to do it.
Yeah.
He's our age. We're 25 as well. He paid some guy to fucking... Because he was at the grand final, Egg Footy guy, because he's a Brisbane supporter. So he was at the grand final. He was going to go to the grand final. So, yeah. He basically took photos of him and was planning to dox him, you know, post the photos. Egg Footy caught him out, you know, talked to him pretty reasonably, considering if I had someone do that, I'd fucking be ropeable. Yeah. Like, I don't care now, obviously, our faces is fucking revealed, here they are, but, like, if you want to keep yourself private, you know, don't fucking post pictures of someone if they want to stay private.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing as well is Scoops, when he got his face revealed as well, he actually previously got himself, someone was, like, posting his photo before he got it done. So he knows how bad it can feel, but he did it anyway. So, yeah, basically, he hated the video that Egg Footy did before, and now Egg Footy has released another video, and this is where all this information has came out about the doxing, about all this sort of information about how he is just a real quote unquote cunt, like he's just an asshole. Like, and then what he's done as well is he started, you know, sending messages to Egg Footy and that, like, saying, like, I'm really sorry, I'm just going through a lot of mental health issues right now, like, trying to make him, you know, the emotional manipulation to try and stop him from making the video and posting it. But, yeah, I just think that this whole situation that was done, like, this Egg Footy, not, like, these guys aren't really that big in the scheme of things, but the sort of stuff that he was, like, trying to say, like, he was going to say, like, he was going to beat him up, like, this Egg Footy was going to beat up this Scoops guy. I just think it's just atrocious. And this guy, Scoops, wants to, like, be seen as, like, an AFL journalist. Like, he wants to be somewhat taken seriously, if you can take an AFL journalist seriously these days. But at the end of the day, I think it's just a joke that this guy would come out, try and dox someone. Considering he's had that happen to himself, so he knows how bad it can be. And, yeah, I just thought this whole situation was really quite interesting because, like, for one, AFL, YouTube... So, basically, beef on YouTube can happen from any different direction, but, yeah, this is where it happened here. This guy was 25 and is acting like an absolute fucking flog, in my opinion. I just think that if... You probably would watch this if I do make this into a clip or something, or title the podcast, like, dude, pull your head in. Like, honestly, there's no need to do this kind of stuff. If this Egg Footy releases, I think he's going to stop putting videos and stop making jokes about him, which is fair enough. But at the end of the day, man, like, no need to do that sort of stuff. Like, just pull your head in and just do your AFL content, man. That's what I'll basically say. Like, you know, just have fun and make your AFL journalism, and maybe just lower your exclusives as well. Like, I think he made a couple of exclusives this trade period as well. He said that Jack Ginnivan was going to go to Richmond, which I think I even said. Did I send that to you?
No, I don't think you ever did send that to me.
No. That's basically when I just lost all credit. Because when I first found this Scoops guy, and before I found all this information out about him, I thought like, oh, it's kind of interesting that an AFL journalist, like an independent, he's just doing his stuff on Facebook. It's actually quite interesting. You know, like I kind of get that, like sort of, not really what we're doing, but, you know, I kind of like the independent sort of stuff, and, you know, maybe he's posting some good shit, but apparently he's just posting fucking false shit all over the place, and then, like, you know, pulls the mental health card, and, like, I'm not saying that mental health is, like, not an issue, because of course it is, but if you put it on yourself, that's on you. Don't blame anyone else.
Yeah.
That's your fault. Like, fucking, if you got mental health issues because people are, like, bullying you for this, like, well, pull your head in, that's your fault. Like, it's not anyone else's fault if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, you seem super interested about this whole topic. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that, guys. I think that this Scoops guy needs to pull his head in, and I feel sorry for the Egg Footy guy. I mean, he's done a lot better now. He's came out with that video. Everyone's in support of him, obviously. He's done a face reveal, and everything's fine. But, yeah, I just think that's a whole fucking cunt thing to do. But, anyway, we'll move on. Pretty long podcast, to be honest. It'll probably be a longer one, because we're still going to do the world sports stuff, but we've always got a lot of AFL stuff, and something that's coming up next week will be the AFL Draft. Now, what I've got here is the power rankings. I think it's released by Fox Footy. So, they've got the 1 to 20 at this stage, what they believe will be the top 20 picks for players. And I've also got the top 20 picks as well. Now, obviously, this will change depending on if there's a trade. First thing I'll ask you...
trades are done for the...
You can trade picks.
Nah, they changed the rules, so now the trade period for the picks is down. It finished as of Monday.
So you can't. I thought you were allowed to trade picks all out to the draft.
I'm pretty sure they changed the rule that you can't trade any more picks until from now.
Until draft day.
Well, now, and I think until they might. Yeah, I think draft day you're allowed to keep trading, but yeah. So there's nothing going to change until draft night.
Alright, well, anyway. Not like anything happened in between now and, well, the trade period anyway.
Not really, no.
Do you think by some chance that pick 1 gets traded from West Coast?
No.
You think?
Nah. I've always believed it was never going to be traded by West Coast, and I still believe that in a way that...
A lot of teams are throwing their hat in the ring to try and get it, but at this point I don't think it's going to happen now.
Yeah, and I think all the other teams have already given up hope now that that West Coast are not going to trade it. So.
Yeah. So, basically, at this stage, we'll have a look. So, at number 1, obviously, West Coast have the first pick. Harley Reid is expected to go pick 1 in the draft. Number 2 is Jed Walter. Now, of course, he is a Gold Coast academy player, so that would be automatically snapped up by the Gold Coast Suns to pick 2. So, North Melbourne have 3 and 4, which at this stage would be a player by the name of Coley McKercher. Fucking hell. And Zane Dersma, obviously brother of Xavier Dersma.
Banker.
At number... absolute trading dog. At number 5, we would have Hawthorn, which is Daniel Curtin. Been linked quite a while as a WA boy to West Coast. Yeah. But it looks like that now, if they're going to obviously take Harley Reid at number 1, he will probably fall down number 5, which would be Hawthorn's pick. At number 6 would be Western Bulldogs, which are expected to take Ethan Reid.
Which is an academy player for Gold Coast.
Is it Ethan Reid?
Yeah.
So that would obviously push them back as well. So they would get pick 7, which is Nick Watson. Small forward. He's, I think, one of the smaller players. I think he's one of the smallest players coming into the AFL if he comes in. So that's really good to see. Obviously built at any size at their age, whatever they say, to try to bring up the point that any sort of person can join the AFL. After that, they would have Melbourne's pick, which would be Riley Sanders at pick 8. Number 9 would be Connor O'Sullivan, which would go to the Giants. At number 10, we have Nate Caddy, which would go to Geelong. Is he related to Josh Caddy?
No.
No? Okay. Number 11 would be James Leake, which would go to the Bombers. Number 10 would be Darcy Wilson, which will go to the Crows. Number 11 would be Jake Rogers, which is to Melbourne. Number 12 would be... Number 14, 14th player. Yeah, 14 would be Jordan Croft, which is a academy pick for the Bulldogs. So that would take pick 12. Sorry, fucking hell. So that's the 14th player. Yeah, and then 15 would be Caleb Windsor, which would be linked to Sydney at this stage. Will McCabe would be linked to the Saints at pick 13. Lance Collard would be linked to the Crows at pick 14. By the way, if you know any of the rest of them are Gold Coast Academy players, you want to just let me know.
I don't think
any of them are.
I don't think they are.
No, I don't think so.
No.
After that, we got Lance Collard was linked to the Crows. Then we have Colton Thorstrop would be linked to North Melbourne as pick 15. Ollie Murphy would be picked to GWS, and then the last player, which is the 20th player here, is Riley Hardman, which would be for North Melbourne to pick 17. But obviously, that is the top 20 players at this stage, which are going to those sort of clubs. But obviously, that would be about pick 20 with all with the 2 Gold Coast Academy players at this stage, and the Western Bulldogs Academy player, which would push it down to 20.
Yeah.
So that's the top 20 players at this stage. So Port Adelaide, obviously, you won't be involved in the draft until pick 73.
Yeah, there's no point of Port Adelaide even investing a lot of time into it.
Yeah,
we've got one pick.
Do they have to pick a player, or can they just pass that pick?
I think you have to pick. Yeah, you have to pick one player from the draft because you have to have at least one pick, and you have to at least pick up one player.
Oh, okay.
So Port have to use it.
So they're going to pick up someone.
So they'll pick up someone and then delist him next year.
Yeah, probably. So that's pretty harsh for them.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's more of the breakdown of the draft so far. Most of this draft, though, they've been saying is only going to be about 50 players picked.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty...
Yeah.
Not very many players going. If that's the top 20, there's only 30 other players that are going to be picked up at this stage. Probably
we all know the reasoning behind it. It's because of the stupid rookie listed players that everyone's getting re-rookied and
all the players.
Senior players to get re-rookied so that they can stay on the list.
Well, I think that they should have just brought in the the veteran list or something that they were going to bring in with the players. The player deal with the money. They were going to bring in a veterans list, which would allow players to be moved, older players to be moved to a veterans list, so they wouldn't have to be on the rookie list.
Yeah.
So they didn't bring it in. I think it may be coming in the next few years, but the players like Liam Shields, Sam Reid,
Chad Wingard.
Chad Wingard. Chad Wingard, but I think we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, those players shouldn't be moved to the rookie list because they've been on the list for... I mean, they're AFL players.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be on the rookie list. They should be used for young kids or, aspiring players from the VFL or, lower leagues who they don't want to take a huge chance on by using them as a draft pick. So pick them up as a rookie draft, give them a year, see how they go.
Yeah.
Instead of putting all these old players on the rookie list. I think it's just ridiculous the way it's being used. And that's something that Kane Corn said. And, I've been on and off about him over the years, but that was something that he said which was a good point. But just before we move into some world sport, just a couple of news stories that came out over the last week or so about potential moves. One of them was quite interesting, which was the fact that Hawthorn have decided to delist Chad Wingard, but they had the plan to re-rookie him, which we were just talking about. But Collingwood have actually came in with a surprise look at Chad Wingard. Now, the first thing I said to you when this was brought up was I didn't know that Collingwood wanted to stop their legacy at one premiership. Wanted to ruin it with Chad Wingard. But in all honesty, I don't really see why they would get him. I mean, I get the depth aspect, but he's not there for them, I don't think. I think Jamie Elliott's that role. And he's not fit enough to play on the wing. But they need the pressure forwards that they've got. I don't think he fits into the side one bit.
Nah, I think it was just more of a ploy to see what Wingard would do. I don't think he won't leave. I just don't think that Collingwood would want him to 100%.
Yeah, I just think the replacement, Lockie Schultz, obviously with Jack Ginnivan, is a good enough change. They've already got Macquarie and Bobby Hill as well. Obviously coming off a great grand final. By the way, that scoop said that Jack Higgins is better than Bobby Hill. So, anyway. Idiot. Sorry. Anyway, I just think that's a very interesting one to come out because I just don't see how he fits into anything of Collingwood's plans. Jamie Elliott's that pseudo forward. They don't really have... I mean, I guess they could play another one in there because their tall forwards aren't really bustling forwards like McStay and Myercheck or Ash Johnson. But yeah, I just don't think he fits into their side. So unless he wants to sit in the VFL squad all year, I just don't see
I think
the need.
will be anyway.
For Hawthorn. Well, yeah, I mean, if he's going to be rookie, then he might as well be. But yeah, he's never really came on when he went to Hawthorn after he left Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Port won that trade.
Well, obviously.
Well, actually now Dersman's at Essendon, so yeah.
Well, yeah, but you got Burton out of the deal. Well, he hasn't done that well either.
Nah.
Well, he's done okay.
He's been dropped a few times this season.
Yeah. But one more thing that we want to talk about is a player called Jamarra Ugle-Hagan. Now, this guy is one of the biggest talking points going into the trade period next year. But it may not be for much longer, as a lot of news that's been coming out, this is from John Ralph at the Herald Sun, has said that Jamarra Ugle-Hagan will re-sign with the Western Bulldogs. So that's big news for the Western Bulldogs fans out there. Not 100% confirmed yet, because this is AFL journalism, and I mean, we've had Tom Morris come. I mean, this isn't Tom Morris, so this could be a little bit more
credible.
This is a little bit more credible, because he's not saying that Clayton Oliver's going to fucking leave, you dumb cunt. Anyway, Jamarra Ugle-Hagan looks like he's going to stay. Now, this is great news for the Bulldogs to, keep their forward structure together, their young forward tools in Norton and now Ugle-Hagan. There's going to be a lot of money into those two, though.
Yeah.
That is so much money. I think it's a good idea for the Bulldogs to keep him, but that is a lot of money to keep on two players. Like, if Ugle-Hagan's getting offered, upwards of 10 mil from Sydney, like they were saying, that's, I mean, I think he wanted to always stay at the Bulldogs, so if this is true and he does stay, I mean, at least it's going to be like 8 million over 8 years or something. It's going to be a long-term deal.
Yeah.
So, did you see as well, Joel Jeffrey got signed for 4 years with the Gold Coast?
Yeah, I heard this,
It's like, surely not.
Like, Kane Corners came out and just said it's one of the most stupidest signings to put him on.
He just got into a good spot at the Gold Coast.
He hasn't played 20 games, he hasn't played 20 games.
Yeah, I mean, I get the point of, like, he's got some good attributes as playing as a defender, and he had a couple of good games, but not a 4-year deal.
He's a forward.
No, he was playing defence before he got injured. Oh. Yeah, I watched a couple of games of the Gold Coast. Yeah, I mean, if you watch the Gold Coast, you'd know.
Well, it shows how much I know.
I'm such a Gold Coast fan with my high vis on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Giants. But, yeah, I just thought that was stupid.
It's like
you could have given him a 2 years deal, see what he does.
He's done... Oh, it was some sort of serious injury he's just done that he kept him out for half of the year.
Yeah.
Like, you're putting so much time into a 4-year deal on a player who missed most of the year, who's played less than 20 games, and he's no guarantee he's going to be in their best 22. Yeah, he's not guaranteed to be in their best 22, and I think he's got the longest contract with Bailey Humphrey at the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Like, how does that even make any sense?
Yeah,
he's not even their best 10 players.
Yeah. And then he's got a long-term deal. And we've seen in the past the Gold Coast, the management of players, like, with contracts and stuff, hasn't been the greatest.
No.
Obviously, they had to get rid of Jack Bowes with the pick 7 last year to Geelong because they just needed to clear up some salary space. Now, Jack Bowes didn't exactly light it up at Geelong, but, I mean, I think that's a really, really tough call. I mean, maybe in a couple of years we'll be eating our words saying that was a great decision. Maybe he'll be an All-Australian defender or an All-Australian forward. I mean, I do remember he got a 5-goal game a couple of years ago. But that's, I mean, Ben Rolt kicked 7 and he got delisted by the Swans after he had that one good game and was a one-hit wonder. So, like I said, he did have a couple of good games in the Gold Coast side as a defender throughout the year before he got his injury. But that's, I don't think, worth a 4-year deal by any means. No. So I think that was a very surprising one when I saw that. So, just a couple of little contract news and that, guys. Been a pretty long podcast, but we do have some world sport to take a look at. And I wanted to start with, have you heard about this guy who, Adam Johnson in hockey in the UK?
No.
Now, there was news probably a couple of weeks ago that a hockey player killed someone with their blade, with their...
Oh, I actually heard about that, but I didn't hear about who the player was.
Yeah, so the player's name in the UK is called Adam Johnson. Now, have you seen the clip of when he did it?
No, I haven't.
Now, I'm not going to play it on screen for you guys because it's too... You can't see it. Like, I'm not going to show it because I'm not going to get this channel taken out. But I thought when I first heard about it, I was like, it must have been just like a horrific mistake. Like, it's an accident, obviously. But looking at the footage, what is he doing? So what's happened was, he was playing hockey, and what he did was he like almost fly kicked this guy in the neck. Like, how is that an accident? Like, the news that came out is the British police have actually arrested this guy for manslaughter. What's his name? He killed... Oh, sorry. So the player who was killed was Adam Johnson. Sorry. Fuck, maybe we should look at that again. His name is Matt Petgrave. So Matt Petgrave has been charged with manslaughter. He killed NHL player Adam Johnson on live TV with his skate. He received a standing ovation at the game last night. Ooh, maybe don't give him a standing ovation.
No.
But looking at the footage here, this is just a 2-second clip, so we don't have any context either side of this, but he hasn't tripped. He's kind of skated towards him.
He's targeted him.
Yeah, and he's put his blade up, his skate, to hit him. I think he's gone for his face, but he's just gone too low, and he's hit him in the neck. Because, now he's obviously been arrested, and I just saw this, and I was like, because when I first heard it, I was like, oh crap, I thought maybe he's gone onto the ground, and the skate's gone over his neck somehow, like in a freak accident. But that's not much. That doesn't look like an accident. That looks like it was premeditated to go for him.
Yeah, because it looks like he's gone. Yeah,
it looks like he's lifted his leg up to try and hit him in the face.
Yeah,
because he's got his guard on, his face guard, his helmet. But obviously, that's not much of an accident. Surely not. Now, I'm not going to put that on YouTube because I don't know if that's going to get taken down. And let's be honest, it's pretty. Horrific. There's no blood or anything. They don't show that part. It's just a 1-second snippet. But I'm not going to show that. If you guys want to look it up, just look it up yourselves. I'm not going to show you. But that's pretty horrific. And it does show that, sport can be quite dangerous. We've obviously seen AFL and other types of sport players go down. We even saw, Christian Eriksen a couple of years ago go down with a heart attack. And there was an NFL player a couple of years ago, last year for the Buffalo Bills who went down with a huge injury. He died on the ground, I think, and then got back to life a couple of seconds later.
Yeah.
So that was fucking horrific. So obviously pretty horrific stuff to talk about. But something in good news, we'll move into a bit of soccer, is Nestori Irakunda. You heard about this?
Yes, I heard.
He has been signed by Bayern Munich. So I think this is great to see for Australian soccer. What do you mean? I mean, it's great. It's great for the fact that,
It's good for him, but I don't think it's good for... what will happen is it will be like the Daniel Azzani. Remember him?
Yeah.
He was signed by Manchester City, then he was loaned to everywhere.
I just hope that's not the
then
case.
He got seriously injured, and he's playing in the A-League.
I think he's playing for MacArthur now.
Yeah, so...
the Bulls.
He just...
I don't even know.
Like Garang Kwal, who got transferred to Newcastle, who's now loaned out to a Scottish team. I think it's going to be that again for this player again.
I think it's better than him staying in the A-League though.
Yeah.
Have you seen some highlights from Irakunda?
Yeah, I've seen some highlights. I think he's a good player. I don't think you need to do what he's done to go straight to such a big German club, because what will happen?
Well, they're the biggest.
Yeah.
They're the biggest German club in the world.
Yeah,
so
but it's I just think that he'll go there. He'll get lined out obviously because there's no way he'll get game time.
Yeah.
And he won't get seen for about 5-6 years, and he'll be a forgotten player.
He'll fall into the system.
Yeah,
of,
and it's not
players.
like Aaron Moy. I think he did well. I think he did it the best. That's to get to the Premier League, as the way he.
To be fair, he got promoted. So
that's what I mean. That he got promoted to get to the Premier League, and that's why. I think that's why he's one of the best Australian players to ever play for the Socceroos.
Yeah,
in that way.
Well, yeah, I don't know if he's better.
Well, at a big. Well, yeah, but I mean, like
top team
to play in the big leagues in our era.
Yeah, in our era. Yeah, that's kind of fair. I think it's fair enough. I think it's a good thing for him, but I do hope that he doesn't just get put into the system of going to a big European club and then just getting loaned out for 5 years and then getting back to an Australian club. I do but there is some news as well that like Bayern Munich have actually brought in a couple of younger guys in the past few years, like Musiala. That's probably butchered that name, but he's only 20 years of age and he was playing at 17 for Bayern Munich. Now he's obviously German, so that's a little bit different. This is an Australian kid going over there. I've seen some highlights of this guy and he's got some good stuff and he's one of the more talented kids that I've seen from Australia. I just think at this point, if they're not going to start getting these kids out to different countries around the world, they're not going to get better. Because the A-League at the moment, like, have you seen some of the highlights? Like, no one is watching.
No, and it happens every single World Cup that Australia play in, that everyone's like, oh, Australians are going to get so involved in the soccer. Next season comes up with the A-League, no one shows up. And it's happened with the Australian women's team now as well. The Matildas did so well at the World Cup, no one's watching the A-League women's.
Yeah.
So it happens every year.
I think the thing is, the soccer is actually getting a lot more popular here, but people aren't watching the A-League. It's because, like, when you see, like, different leagues around the world, not even, like, the Premier League or the La Liga and that sort of stuff, but you see, like, the Saudi League. Obviously, they're bringing in huge players. Now, I'm not saying that Australia have to attract Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, but we saw even when it was, like, 5 or 10 years ago when Alexander Del Piero came over here. That was huge. That was a huge signing, and so many people were watching. I was watching the A-League back then.
Yeah.
Because there was, like, big players coming in. But who's the biggest player in the A-League right now that's outside of Australian players? Like, Jamie McLaren's probably the biggest.
He's Australian.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably the biggest. Like, I mean, I remember, I think Morgan Schneiderlin came here, and he was a former Manchester United player, but that's not a huge player. Like, does anyone know who Morgan Schneiderlin is? I know Charlie Austin came here for a couple of games. I think the last, like, huge player we had was David Villa.
That was a good one.
He stayed for 2 games or something.
Yeah, I think he stayed for 2 games, and then he was loaned out to New York or something. And he played more games there.
Because he was at Melbourne City.
Yeah.
Because Manchester City bought all those clubs, yeah. Yeah, they bought Melbourne City because they used to be the Melbourne Heart, and then they brought over David Villa for like he was supposed to play for a couple of months, but he only played 2 games, and then he got loaned back to New York City.
Yeah.
Or something. That's vague knowledge. I'm not exactly a huge A-League novice. But yeah, I think that's a huge thing of the A-League. Like, what kid is going to watch the A-League when, you know, there's a lot of, like, you see the big sign players of sport. Like, they play games like FIFA. They see highlights from these different leagues around the world. And they see the A-League. They see no crowd there. So why would they go for the atmosphere?
Yeah.
They don't have a player to follow because no one knows any of them. Like, can you name the goalkeeper for Adelaide United right now?
No.
Could you name the right back for Liverpool?
The right back?
Yeah.
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
God, you...
Fuck, I nearly lost that. I was
trying to make a point. The point is, these big clubs around the world, the big play, like, not even the big players. Like, Trent Alexander-Arnold's not exactly a big player at Liverpool.
Well, he's the captain, but...
Is he?
Yeah, he's the captain this year. Because, it's because Virgil van Dijk's injured, so he's taken over captaincy for the time being.
Oh, okay. I don't know that much then.
I know.
Most
people would...
Palmer moved from Manchester City to move to Chelsea, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that now, I guess. That's pretty big in the Premier League this weekend. Chelsea actually held on and drew against Manchester City, which was a very big surprise.
Which I don't think should have happened.
What do you mean shouldn't have happened?
That penalty that Haaland got was not a penalty. That was bullshit. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. That penalty to Haaland, that was...
so you think Chelsea should have won?
Chelsea should have won 4-3.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the weakest penalties I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, Chelsea to get a 4-4 draw against them is good.
Do you think it's funny that out of the top 4, Chelsea have... not lost any of the top 4.
Yeah, but they're losing to teams down the bottom and drawing to Luton Town. Yeah. Which, by the way, Liverpool did the week before.
Yeah, that was... we had so many shots in the game. We should not... It was actually horrible.
Yeah.
Liverpool did not get 3 points in that game.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting at the moment because a lot of teams that were fighting pretty hard earlier in the season, like the Newcastles and Brighton and even West Ham, to an example, were, pretty high flying earlier in the season. But now that the European footballs came in... Yeah. All 3 of these teams are obviously in Champions League or Europa League, so now they've kind of fallen off. Aston Villa's kind of surprising. They're in 5th spot right now. They've got a goal difference of 12. They are 3 points behind the top, and they're one of the most informed teams in the league at the moment. Yeah. It's really interesting to watch Aston Villa. They've got a couple of really good players as well, like Ollie Watkins and Diaby. They've got a couple, Tillemans as well.
The best goalkeeper.
Oh, Martinez as well. Yeah. This guy was... I've seen a couple of things about him. He's actually was playing in like 4th tier Argentinian football or something like 10 years ago. And now the guy's the world's best.
I'm still surprised he's still at Aston Villa, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a bit older now.
Yeah,
one
he's
thing.
there.
And I mean, they've also got a good manager in Unai Emery. I mean, he used to coach PSG, I believe.
And obviously Sevilla to 4 or 5 Europa leagues. So he's got the resume.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I mean, Tottenham lost their last 2 games. Postecoglou got a couple of problems. We'll have to see. The honeymoon period's kind of drying off.
It didn't really help that they lost half their bloody defense to get against Chelsea in that derby.
So hopefully for Tottenham fans out there, they can regroup. I mean, next week, Manchester City versus Liverpool. That'll be an interesting game
after the
international break. Chelsea versus Newcastle is going to be a massive game as well. Tottenham versus Aston Villa, a couple of really big games after the break, and then a month before Christmas as well. That Christmas period usually is when you kind of find out who's going to be there, unless you're Arsenal on top.
Or Liverpool.
I
have to say that I'm a Liverpool supporter. I've been there.
Yeah. But at the moment, still in the relegation zone are Luton Town, Sheffield United and Burnley. And have you seen the statistic that these 3 clubs are the lowest points ever from 3 promoted teams in a certain period?
Yeah. In the first 10 games of the season, they're the worst relegated teams.
And at the moment, unless Everton lose that 12 points, which I think every single club is, Luton are probably begging right now because they would be the ones who get promoted. Get to hold on to promotion. But at the moment,
I know Sheffield United aren't playing that well, but I think they're the only team that would be able to come out of that relegation zone.
To be fair though, they've got a crap goal difference. I mean, at least Luton Town have actually not conceded that many goals, and they've been able to draw against the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I would really love to see Luton Town stay in.
Yeah.
It's always like the underdog story. Like when they made it, everyone was like, "Oh, that's really good. Let's hope they can survive." And I mean, they're doing better than the other 2 at the moment.
Do you have the La Liga?
Have you seen the La Liga?
Yeah,
Girona of all teams, they weren't even in the league.
The L word's been spoken around the last couple of weeks.
Leicester City.
Yeah.
I mean, surely
it's 10 weeks. It's only 10 weeks in, isn't it? It's only 13 games in. So
they play the full 38, I think, as well, don't they?
Well, I can't remember how many teams they play. How many teams are in it?
There's 20 in the league, so
they play.
They're 19. Yeah, 19 teams.
Yeah.
So at the moment in the La Liga, if you haven't been following, that's obviously the Spanish soccer. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, obviously the bigger clubs in Spain. They have all been beaten by a little-known side in Girona. Girona? I don't know. Girona? I think it's Girona. I don't know. I don't even know their fucking name. But at the moment, they are on top of the La Liga by 2 points on any team. Nearly halfway through the season. I'd probably say a third of the season right now. Yeah, exactly. Basically a third of the season they are on top. A lot of news has been talked about them that, the L word, Leicester.
Yeah.
Like, everyone thought there was always going to be a time when Leicester would drop off. They kept on going and they somehow held on, and now they're sitting in the Championship. They'll be back to the Prem next year, next season. But yeah, I mean, Real Madrid, obviously with Bellingham, he's had a massive season so far. They're still sitting second. Barcelona, not really looking as their best team as they've had in previous years. Still got Lewandowski, but other than that, they're still not sitting in the best of spots. But currently in third, and then Atletico Madrid got the combination of Morata and Griezmann still sitting in fourth, and they are 6 points from top. So I still think they'll fall off. I think they have to, surely. But you don't want to. You want to be the one. You want to sit on their bandwagon right now.
You can't be a team that be like, no one could ever do it because we saw Leicester do it.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I think we'll see eventually that they'll probably fall off. But I mean, the fact that they're sitting there right now is amazing. And at the moment, in fifth is Athletic Club, and Real Sociedad are sixth, just for anyone wondering. We'll move into one more thing, which is the NFL chat.
Just before we do that, just so a reminder that the Socceroos, they play Thursday. Well, as of tonight, they will be playing at 7 o'clock, 7:30 Eastern, and I think Tuesday next week. So we play Bangladesh, and then we play Palestine.
Why the fuck are we playing that?
It's the qualifiers.
What, for the Cup?
World Cup qualifiers first round.
Don't we have to beat no one to make it?
Well, now we've got 8 spots now in the Asian qualification.
Oh yeah, that means so for the first time in 20
Australia,
years.
Knock on wood, should be able to automatically qualify.
That's also an interesting thing, and it brings back to the point of the A-League. It's like the Saudi League obviously has the big players, but the Saudi Arabia have actually became a pretty good team. Like you've seen, they almost made the round of 16, I think, in the World Cup, didn't they? Oh no, they did. They did make the round of 16. Yeah. Like Australia did as well, but I mean, we could be so much better if we had like these likes of these players, because they bring over their talent. They teach a couple. I mean, the kids see that.
Yeah.
You know, they see the kind of moves. They see the way these players train. They learn after it, and then they move on. And then, then they can attract bigger names to Australia. So that's just something else as well. But before we end today's podcast, we will move on. We will talk about the NFL. Big week in the NFL. Falcons lost again.
Let's just start off with that one because it was a good game. I thought. Well,
they got back Kyler Murray.
You did lose it on the last play of the game. Like you did lose it off a field goal. Like I think.
Yeah, we've won a game off a field goal this season,
yeah,
so
like
we can't
the
say
Falcons,
it's not a bad thing.
I think 6 games out of all of them we won off the last play of the game. So the first time that's ever happened, the most time that's ever happened in a week of NFL.
Yeah.
So Colin Murray played pretty well for his first game back.
Well, they needed him back.
I think it showed that he did.
That was their second win of the season, and it shows that they desperately needed him because they couldn't score at all.
Yeah.
They were getting smashed for a lot of the season. They were probably the second worst performing team behind the
Giants.
Not the Giants, no, the Panthers.
Yeah.
The Panthers, who lost again. They're the only team right now who are 1-8. So the Panthers still doing shit, even though the Bears weren't that much better. But I think one of the best games of the weekend was the game Broncos versus the Bills, and what a game that one was. I think
the Bills just shot themselves in the foot all bloody night. It just started off with
well, that last play when not last play, it was like one of the last plays when Russell Wilson threw it down the ground. The defender, it was underthrown, the Russell Wilson throw, but the defender just kept on running and just bowled over the receiver, and it's just an easy penalty.
An easy flag. Like, there were so many times that the Bills, they never deserved to win the whole game, but somehow they found themselves in front.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the how do you have one extra player on the field?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Come
on. Last play of the game, he has the shot, and the flag's thrown. Like, you got an extra defender.
But I was thinking when I saw that, I was like, surely they have made a huge they've made it someone's grabbed someone. It was but to have an extra player on the field at that point in the game, that should not happen.
It was just horrible.
I mean, I get the Broncos made that quick change quickly to get the kicker on because they didn't have a timeout. But at the point of that game, surely you got to guys, get off the fucking field.
And let's be honest,
count each other, do a head count quickly.
It's like you had 24 seconds after that first kick after the last play before they all came on. They had 24 seconds. Earlier in the game, the Broncos had another one that they had to do the same play. They had 11 seconds before halftime, the Broncos, and they still did it. So you had the Bills had plenty of time to sort it themselves out.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen played probably a pretty bad game, but the Bills just don't look like they're going to get there this season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Bills have been interesting because they've been really good performing teams in the minor rounds the last 2 seasons, but they've been out. They don't compete very well in the playoffs.
No.
This time they may very well not make the playoffs. They're 5-5 at the moment. They had a pretty good start to the season. They've kind of fallen off at the moment. I can see up there you've got the playoff picture. What are we sitting at with the seeds?
So the seeds are obviously NFC, AFC. Eagles and Chiefs
are the top teams,
the top teams. You've got the Lions on the NFC.
Maybe just go through one side each. So go to NFC first.
NFC, you got seed 1 is Eagles, then Detroit, San Francisco, and the Saints as the first 4. And then
Falcons had that spot 2 weeks ago. Now they've lost 2 games by less than against teams they should be beating.
And then you've got 5th seed in the Seahawks, Cowboys, and then the Vikings to finish off the NFC.
Cowboys are always dangerous as well because they got a very good attack.
Yeah, they're playing pretty well this season. And then on the AFC, you've got obviously the Chiefs, you've got Baltimore, the Jaguars, and Miami. Then the 5th seed you got as Pittsburgh.
You said the Dolphins?
Yeah, the Dolphins are in 5th.
Oh.
The 4th spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 5th spot you got Pittsburgh, you got the Browns, and you've got Texans. Texans in 7th seed.
The Texans, yeah. So you said the Steelers as well, yeah. Fair enough.
So it's the next week week 11, Monday Night Football is the Eagles and the Chiefs. Big game that
That
week.
is a massive
So
game.
Tuesday,
That could be a preview to the fucking Super Bowl.
So Tuesday on Australian time is it will be that game. Fucking good game. Hopefully,
Good news for Falcons fans.
Hopefully I have that day off. I'll watch that.
And good news for Falcons fans, we've got the bye next week, so no losses, no disappointment.
No disappointment. So yeah, you were telling me that you'd rather be a Panthers fan than a Falcons fan at the moment, because you just know that they're going to be disappointed to begin with, not just.
Well, at least I know I'm really disappointed. Like, we had a really good start to the season. First 2 wins, we were sitting on the top of the our division for week 8. And now the last 3 weeks, we've just fallen off. No, sorry, 2 weeks, we've fallen off. We've beaten the likes of, not the Patriots, the Bucks. That's a pretty good win for us. But then we just lost 2 poor games against the Texans and the
I think the problem is for the Falcons is they don't know who the bloody QB is. Like, you've had Heineke for the last couple of weeks, and I think he just got injured, didn't he? In that last game.
Yeah, I think he got injured because we had to play Ritter again.
Really can't do anything.
He's a good runner. He's a good runner, but he can't do anything else than that. And he just doesn't compete. He's completion. Well, also Heineke didn't have a very good game either. He only completed 8 of his 15 passes, so he's just over 50%, and he threw 55 yards. Like, that's not good enough.
No.
Like, luckily we had a good rushing game, but yeah, like Robinson nearly got 100 yards from rushing, which is pretty decent. But he had 22 attempts, so. That's about 4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So that's not that good. Like, he's basically getting it at every third play he can get there. But yeah, I think that Falcons have some pretty good receivers, tight end in Pitts and London, as well as the wide receiver. But yeah, I think that QB needs to be sorted out. It's going to be hard though, because obviously the period now to pick up players is gone. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough because the Saints are suddenly starting to hit some form, and the Bucks, even though they're kind of sitting. They're 4-5 at the moment, so they're sitting with the Falcons. But I just think the Saints are in a really good spot right now.
If you're looking like who's in the hunt for the playoffs, you got 8th seed is in the Bucks, and the Falcons are 10th seed. So you're not that the conference you're in is very tight.
Yeah,
but it's just that.
Thank God for the Panthers.
Yeah, you might be getting last, 4th. So
unless we do that fucking bad. If we lose to the Panthers this season, we'll have to play them again. I think we've already beaten them once, so we have to play them again. I think I'll just burn my shirt. I think I've got a Julio Jones shirt somewhere. He fucking left the dog. He played for the Bucks. Have you ever mentioned who you barracked for?
I don't really follow anyone. Like, I've said the Rams a few times, but that was more that they won that year. So
yeah, listen to it. Join in the bandwagon.
I admitted it.
Yeah, well, I guess that's fair enough.
Yeah, well,
people fucking admit it anymore.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting second half of the season now with.
Yeah, well, now we're week 11. We still got another 8 rounds to go, I believe, or 8 weeks. Yeah. At this stage, guys, we take a quick look at the standings just before we finish up. In the NFC, we have the division leaders are Eagles, Lions, 49ers, and the Saints. And on the AFC side, we have the Chiefs, Ravens, Jaguars, and the Dolphins. Quick look at the divisions quickly. Eagles obviously up the top. Close by is the Cowboys, and then Commanders and the Giants. In the NFC East down the bottom, probably won't change too much there. The NFC South is the Saints up top, Buccaneers in second, Falcons close by in third, and then the Panthers down below. So that one's definitely up in the air. NFC West, we have the 49ers up top, equal with the Seahawks. That's going to be a pretty big battle. Rams and Cardinals under them. Cardinals probably have a pretty good second half of the year, but they can't really do much where they are now. NFC North, we have the Lions up top, which is really surprising because for the amount of time I've been watching the NFL, which is probably the last 3 or 4 years, they've been cellar dwellers. But anyway, they're 7-2 right now, 4-1 in the past 5 games, really good. Vikings are second, won their last 5 games, they're in brilliant form. Then we've got the Packers and the Browns under them, probably those two. Vikings, Lions probably hold those spots for the rest of the season. After that, we have the Chiefs up top in the AFC West, as they've been for many years now. Raiders are second, and they've actually done pretty well the last few games, 3-2 in their past 5. Chargers and Broncos pretty close behind. The Broncos are hitting some form. They've won their last 3 games, which is a fucking miracle for them.
Because they lost that 70-20 to the Miami once. Yeah, everyone thinks they're shit, but they're playing alright since that game.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson's been the talking point for 2 years now since he moved from Seattle. That he's just doing it for the money, which whatever, fair enough. But he was getting offered the buddy bank. You go to Denver and you just live it up. But I think as well, it was a lot of talk, like he wasn't training, he wasn't doing sort of shit. So
I think he said he lost like 15 pounds that they were saying before, they were saying before this season.
Yeah. The AFC East, we have the Dolphins up the top. Not in the best of form, only 3 from their last 5 and lost their last game. They're sitting on 6-3. Bills are second with 5-5. A little bit of a contentious one because obviously they're going to be struggling if they don't start winning in the next couple of games. The Dolphins are playing some brilliant the Dolphins can produce some really good attack. So the Bills have to definitely keep up. The Jets are 4-5. It'd be interesting to see if they did have Aaron Rodgers, if they're able to.
Well, they're saying that he could return before the end of the season, but it's going to depend on the next couple of weeks if they're still in contention.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just, like I said, like if Rodgers was there, would they be a little bit higher? I think there's a couple of games they could have won. So they're currently 4-5, and then down the bottom, in some bad news for Patriots fans, all those, I'm sure they're not there anymore, those bandwagoners that were following them when Tom Brady was there. They're currently 2-8 down the bottom. Jeez. Shows what happens when you lose your best... not carried, but obviously the golden years of the Patriots is kind of down now. AFC South, we have the Jaguars up the top at 6-3. Texans are 5-4. Colts are 5-5, so pretty tight for those top 3. Titans not too far behind at 3-6. And then finally, in the AFC North, we have the Ravens up top with 7-3. Steelers and the Browns both 6-3, so really fighting hard for that spot in the AFC North. And the Bengals 5-4, so that's actually a really tight one in the AFC North as well. But that's basically all we got for today's Boundary Riders podcast, guys. Pretty long one. Obviously, we had a lot of AFL stuff to talk about, but we didn't want to stop with the off-season stuff because, this is the off-season portion of the Boundary Riders podcast. We got to talk about the world sport as well that's going on, and it would have been a bit weird if we just stopped talking about it because there was a lot of AFL stuff, but we wanted to cover everything that was all in it. So hopefully you've stuck around for this long. If you have, make sure to support the channel, whether that be leaving 5 stars on Spotify, leaving a like on YouTube. And if you do think that we do deserve it, do check out the Patreon link, see how you feel about it. If you want to join up, then there's a lot of exclusive stuff, exclusive rewards for you guys. And the Twinners podcast, make sure to go check that out. If you just want to check it out, see what it's like. If you do enjoy it, then let us know. But that's all from us, guys. So we'll catch you all next time.
See you later, guys.